On the news tonight, Presidency accuses Chinese company of misleading the court on seized Nigeria's presidential jets. Finance Ministry confirms approval on implementation of imports of food items. Plus, Osun State government warns against land encroachments. And on the foreign scene, U.S. peace-led talks to end Sudan's conflict in Geneva remains unresolved. Good evening. Thanks for joining us on the Media Reports. I am Adeleke. The presidency said it is aware of the failed attempt by a Chinese company to take over offshore assets of the federal government of Nigeria through subterfuge. This was conveyed in a statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga. The statement comes after a Chinese company, Zhongshan Fucheng Industrial Investment Co. Limited, had successfully petitioned for the seizure of 3 Nigerian presidential jets. The statements clarify that the federal government is not under any contractual obligation with the company, noting that the case in which Osun tries to use every unorthodox means to strip the country's offshore assets is between the company and the Osun State government. It was learned that a French court authorized the seizure of the 3 presidential jets due to the ongoing dispute between the Chinese company and the Osun State government. The seizure is a result of the government's failure to honor a $74.5 million award granted to the company by an independent arbitral tribunal chaired by the former president of the UK Supreme Court. Meanwhile, Ononuga said the federal government is aware of efforts being made by the Osun State government to reach an amicable resolution on the matter. The National Judicial Council has recommended Justice Kudirat Kekereekun to be the next Chief Justice of Nigeria. This was contained in a statement by the NJC Director of Information, Soji Oye. It hinted that the recommendation was made in its 106th meeting, which was presided over by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, who recommended Justice Kekereekun to President Bola Tinubu for appointment as the next CJN in Abuja. He said this is imperative as Justice Olukayode Ariwola will formally bow out of office as the Chief Justice of Nigeria next week. President Bola Tinubu has explained why he signed the Defense Industries Corporations of Nigeria bill within 6 months, saying that it was driven by his vision of self-reliance in defense production. The president shed light on his security priorities at the 60th anniversary of Defense Industries Corporations of Nigeria and Made in African Defense Industries Conference in Abuja. He emphasized that the country has to achieve self-sufficiency in military hardwares. President Tinubu, who was represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, said the icon had become a cornerstone of Nigeria's military-industrial complex, producing ammunition and equipment that support Nigeria's military and security agencies. Earlier, the Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawalle, said the Nigerian Armed Forces, paramilitary, and the police need 350 million rounds of ammunition yearly for effective operations. The minister spoke on the imperative of self-sufficiency in defense production during the signing of a memorandum of understanding on the establishment of weapon production plants in Abuja. Chairman of the Police Service Commission, retired Deputy Inspector General Hashim Arigungu, has called for thorough and well-defined background checks in the Nigerian police force recruitment process. Mr. Arigungu made the call during a 6th edition of the Commission's Arena of Knowledge weekly lecture series in Abuja, highlighting the challenges of placing qualified individuals into key positions within the nation's bureaucracy. He noted that a successful recruitment process must align candidate skills and knowledge with job requirements. The former police boss asserted that recruitment should be meticulously planned to achieve objectives such as identifying the best skills and ensuring fairness for selection of candidates, which is crucial for effective nation building. He underscored the importance of having clearly defined job roles, stating that vague job descriptions hinder successful recruitment, adding that it is essential to find and secure individuals with the appropriate skills for the right positions. The House of Representatives Special Committee on Oil Theft and Losses has made case for a special intervention fund for the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps and the Nigerian Customs Service has enabled them to effectively address the challenges of crude oil theft. Chairman of the committee, Mr. Al-Azan Doguwa, made the call during a special session on how special intervention funds are applied to combat crude oil theft. Mr. Doguwa expressed displeasure with the lack of support for the NSCDC to assist it deliver on its mandate. He said the committee will ensure that the NSCDC is fully carried along in the war against oil theft and losses in Nigeria, urging the security agencies in attendance of the meeting to speak up and share their challenges in order for the committee to make informed decisions that will improve the country's economic growth. The Ministry of Finance confirmed the approval of the Nigerian Customs Service to start the implementation of the 0% import duty and exemption of value-added tax on basic food items. This was after President Bola Tinubu approved the implementation of 0% import duty and exemption of value-added tax on basic food items. Meanwhile, the Comptroller General of the NCS, Bashir Adeleke, instructed officials of the service to commence enforcement measures. The NCS noted that the exemption of value-added tax on basic food items such as maize, husk brown rice, wheat, grain, bean, and millet are in place with effect from July to December this year. Recall that the federal government had earlier last month announced the suspension of duties, tariffs, and taxes on the importation of food staples through land and sea borders to reduce inflation. Bureau of Statistics Consumer Price Index report for July has indicated that Nigeria's headline inflation rate decreased to 33.40% in July, down from 34.19% in June this year. According to the report, the decrease marked the first decline in the headline inflation rate 2 years ago, when it last dropped to 21.34%. The headline inflation rate eased in July to 33.40% relative to the June headline inflation rate of 34.19%. On a year-on-year basis, the headline inflation rate was 9.32 percentage points higher compared to the rate recorded in last year July, and the headline inflation rate decreased by 0.79 percentage points in July compared to June. The Limited says it has intensified its efforts to combat illegal oil refining activities in the Niger Delta region. The company revealed that it discovered and seized products from 63 illegal refineries within a week, adding that it uncovered 19 illegal pipeline connections with the scale of the illicit activities in the region. According to the NNPCL, the crackdown comes as it faces fresh criticism over the delayed commencement of operations at the Port Harcourt refinery in Rivers State. It said despite multiple postponements, the refinery has failed to begin operations, sparking concerns about the company's ability to meet Nigerians' fuel demands. It will be recalled that the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources and NNPCL promised to get the refinery up and running this month. However, no sign of the facility kickstarting crude oil refining just yet. The Nigerian Labour Congress has accused the federal government of declaring war against it following the recent raid on its headquarters by security forces. The NLC leaders rejected the police explanation at a press conference in Abuja for the invasion and demanded an apology as well as the return of seized items and the release of detained individuals. The NLC also criticized government's attempts to interfere with its internal affairs, including a proposed reduction in the tenure of trade union leaders, arguing that it violates labor law and international conventions. Recall that the police had claimed that the raid on the headquarters of the NLC was aimed at apprehending an international terrorist suspect, but the NLC dismissed it as a cover-up, pointing out contradictions in the police accounts. The labor union warned that it would hold the police responsible for any future incidents at its headquarters or against its leaders and members. The media rights agenda have asked the federal government to comply with the orders of a federal high court in Abuja, which directed it to take concrete measures to prevent attacks on journalists and other media practitioners. It also urged the government to thoroughly investigate, prosecute, and penalize perpetrators of all attacks against journalists. Consequently, the media rights agenda delivered a formal letter to the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice emphasizing their deep concern over the persistent attack and harassment of journalists across Nigeria. Head of MRA's legal department, Ms. Obioma Okonkwo, stated non-compliance with such order not only undermines the judicial process but also threatens the very fabric of the democratic society. She further stressed that the continued disregard for the court's order amounted to contempt of court, which would erode public confidence in the justice system and bring the government into disrepute nationally and internationally. Ms. Okonkwo urged the Attorney General to take immediate steps to ensure full compliance with the court order to prevent further attacks on journalists and bring those responsible to justice. Osun State government has warned residents of the state who are encroaching on its landed property to desist from such criminal acts immediately or face the full wrath of law. Dr. Freeze Olaoye gave the warning in Ilesha during an inspection tour of government's landed property. A statement by the Information Officer of the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning, Peju Popola, indicated that the Ministry's Permanent Secretary, according to the release, the Permanent Secretary commended Leventis Foundation for their efforts in protecting the land given to them by the state government, stressing that all illegal construction structure on government land in Ilesha must stop immediately. He emphasized that anyone found culpable of the criminal act will be arrested by the law enforcement agents and prosecuted. Nigerian Director of the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, Dr. Eche Ijezie, says over 2 million persons are reported to have been provided in-care HIV and AIDS services globally. Dr. Ijezie made this known at an event to mark the milestone achieved by the foundation in Abuja. The country's director, who expressed delight at the attainment, explained that the program, which has reached 47 countries, started in South Africa and Uganda with 100 patients in each country. He explained that the combination of medicine and advocacy, implementing prevention, care and treatment programs, and the support of government and other international donors have allowed the foundation to reach the momentous achievements collectively. Dr. Ijezie further explained that 29,000 are in care under the Nigerian program, many of them in very remote locations in Abuja, Anambra, Awka, Akwa Ibom, Benue, Cross River, Kogi, and Nasarawa states. The country director will reiterate the commitment of AHF to advocating for services and the well-being of those living with HIV and AIDS, assured that the foundation would always leverage on ingenious healthcare delivery models to expand its reach and impact. You're welcome to a sports segment. champions of the maiden Nigerian Youth League Cup received the sum of 40 million naira when the league ends next year. Oluwabukumi Ajibade has more.
Tournament, founded in 2023 as a youth development program with the mission of providing world-class football experience and competition for teenagers and young adults between the ages of 16 to 19. In the maiden edition, 30 youth teams will participate in the maiden edition. The 30 teams have been divided into groups, Group A and Group B. Some of the teams in Group A are Lobby Stars as Roma, Kwara United, Kano Pillars, Yobe Desert Warriors, ABS FC. In Group B, we have Rangers International, Abia Warriors, Oka United, Shooting Stars, Gateway FC, Enyimba FC, Sunshine Stars. Not fewer than 1,050 players have been registered to participate in the tournament, while a total of 843 games will be played and broadcast across other platforms through free and paid subscription. All matches will be played on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Nigerian time. It looks promising to become the fastest youth league in Africa very soon. Following their recent slump in form and poor performance, Nigerian side failed to qualify for the just concluded 2024 Olympic Games in Paris, France. According to the latest ranking released by FIBA, the Tigers garnered 299.7 points to drop 4 places to 42nd in the world. The Nigerians also placed 6th in Africa, with South Sudan remaining best ranked African team. African top 10: South Sudan, Cote d'Ivoire, Angola, Tunisia, Egypt, Nigeria, Cape Verde, Senegal, Cameroon, Guinea. Moving on to the Premier League. Ahead of the start of 2024-2025 English Premier League season, Nigeria's Super Eagles and Leicester City midfielder Wilfred Ndidi has changed his jersey number. The Nigerian international joined the Foxes in 2017 from Belgian Jupiler Pro League side Genk. He was handed jersey number 25, and that was what he has been using ever since. The club released the list of registered players and jersey numbers for the new season, and Ndidi was handed number 6. He has made 273 appearances for the club in all competitions, scored 17 goals and recorded 17 assists. Oluwabukumi Ajibade reporting for OSBC News.
From the foreign scene, the first peace-led talks by the U.S. government to find a lasting solution to Sudan's conflict that was concluded in Geneva remains unresolved. Angela Agbola has this and more from the foreign scene.
U.S. led the peace talks to the conflict, but the military was absent, which made the other warring parties' participation unclear. The country's military did not send representatives and did not appear that delegates from the other warring party, the Rapid Support Forces, attended the session. Diplomats from Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and the United Arab Emirates, the African Union, and the United Nations were at the talks. Meanwhile, the northeastern African nation plunged into chaos last year when tensions between the military and the Rapid Support Forces turned into open fighting in the capital, Khartoum, before spreading across the country. According to the UN and international rights groups, the conflict has killed thousands of people and pushed many into starvation, while its atrocities include mass rape and ethnically motivated killings that amount to war crime and crimes against humanity. Russia's Ministry of Defense has said that its forces had shot down Ukraine drones over the neighboring Belgorod region and Sukhoi. Russia's authorities have been evacuating thousands of civilians from the Kursk region as Ukraine forces advance after a surprise incursion aimed at compelling Moscow to slow its progress along the rest of the front lines. Kursk acting governor Alexei Smirnov stated that the Glushkovo district, which was a population of 20,000 and it is 20 kilometers from the front, has been evacuated. The ministry added that its troops are taking better positions at several points to fight against what Ukraine described as carving out a buffer zone to protect its population against attacks. Ukraine's military spokesman Dmytro Likovi, said Russia has moved some troops from Ukraine's occupied south to other areas, but it has not constituted a big redeployment for now. The Hamas-run Health Ministry has said more than 40,000 Palestinians have been killed as a result of Israeli military action in Gaza since the Hamas-led attack on Israel. Alongside the fatalities, satellite image analysis suggests nearly 60% of buildings in Gaza have been damaged or destroyed since the beginning of the war. According to newsmen, international journalists are blocked by Israel from entering Gaza independently and unable to verify figures from either side. In the past, figures from the Gaza Ministry of Health were widely used in times of conflict and are seen as reliable by the United Nations and international institutions. However, Ministry of Health was unable to function effectively with overflowing mortuaries, fighting in and around hospitals, and poor internet and phone connectivity. Angela Agbola reporting for OSBC News.
That ends the media report on OSBC TV. It was edited by Adebari Ijimakinde. I am Adeleke Amowo. Thank you for watching. Have a pleasant night.